In the May 28, 1973 edition of Sports Illustrated, Bill Gilbert and Nancy Williamson wrote, quote, "There is no sharper example of discrimination today than that which operates against girls and women who take part in competitive sport," end quote. The statement was published almost 50 years ago, but it still rings true. Despite laws being enacted and lawsuits being ruled in favor of girls trying to gain access to boys' sports, there is still discrimination faced by girls and women who take part in sport today. Today we will tell you how discrimination in sports starts at the youth level in sports like hockey and lacrosse, where rules of gameplay differentiate between the genders, and continues on at the Olympic and professional levels, most flagrantly in the most publicized examples of the U.S. women's hockey team and the U.S. women's soccer team.
To start off, gender discrimination in sports varies in many different categories. According to EPI.org in 2016, women earned 79 cents to the average dollar that males did. In 2017, Forbes stated the top 100 highest paid athletes, and there was only one female. Ranked at 51st overall, tied with Ryan Howard at $27 million was Serena Williams. She eventually dropped off the top 100 highest paid athletes the next year, earning $18.1 million. Passed in 1972, Title IX officially banned gender discrimination in all schools and including athletics. So like Carly said, we will be hitting these main points on gender discrimination is flagrant in the world of sports, how it continues in the professional and Olympic levels, and the discrimination starts at grassroots levels. So first off, gender discrimination starts at the grassroots levels with different rules of play between youth, girls and boys side of sports, making the discrimination rules set as low age and young children so they do not question the rules of why they are being forced to do this. So I have an example, a 13-year-old girl, her coach actually told her to stop being physical for the next season because she was too physical the prior season. And being a physical sport, how does that help her improve her game? And then sports such as hockey, lacrosse, soccer, and basketball are examples of sports where gender discrimination at a young age was implied because they were forced to go to their own teams or not play with the boys or be separated. All right, here's some of the rules between, accidentally deleted, can hit. It's supposed to be, or can fight, sorry, or I believe it's can hit, yeah, can hit. You can fight in men's hockey, it's a 5-minute penalty and that's it. And then there's no punishment for swearing. You can say whatever, obviously you can't do any racial profanity towards each other, and you're allowed to wear visors. If you get injured, you can put a cage on. But when women's rule, there's no checking, no fighting. You'll get a unsportsmanlike conduct for swearing or any harsh language toward each other. It's required to have a mouth guard and neck guard, and no matter what, at all level for women, you have to wear a cage. You cannot wear a visor. And then for men and women's lacrosse rules, obviously you can hit for men's, and the face-off is on the ground. But for women's face-off, it's in midair because they do not have the elbow pads, the shoulder pads, or the helmet as men's do. With the men's, it also has a longer field and different variation of shot clocks. And then for the sticks, there are also pockets in the sticks so boys can cradle it more, where girls, they basically have no pocket, and yeah, that's it.
So at the Olympic and professional level, both the U.S. women's soccer and U.S. women's hockey teams have boycotted or threatened to boycott a major tournament in order to get equitable treatment in the last 10 years from their federations or national governing bodies. One example is Cami Granato was one of USA Hockey's most prolific players and their first storied captain of the women's national team. She was cut from the 2006 Olympic team because she tried to start a fight for equal treatment for she and her teammates, and her coach didn't like it, so he cut her. So the U.S. women's soccer team has filed 2 lawsuits against the U.S. Soccer Federation for equal pay. In 2016, prior to the Rio Olympics, where they said they were thinking about boycotting the Olympics if it wasn't resolved. And then they also filed a lawsuit again this past March over unfair wages. In 2016, New York Times op-ed, U.S. soccer star Carly Lloyd detailed the disparity in wages between the men's and women's national teams. In 2016, the men's national soccer team were all paid $69,000 apiece just for making the national team. The women were paid $15,000 for making the team. If the men were to have won the World Cup, they would have been awarded $390,000 apiece, while the women only received $75,000 apiece for winning the 2015 World Cup. When they traveled, the women were each given $60 per day for expenses, while the men were given $75. The men's team members were paid by the federation $3,750 per appearance for sponsors, while the women's team members were paid $3,000 per appearance. The women's team was one of the best soccer teams in history. They were projected to bring in $5.2 million in revenue the year of Lloyd's op-ed, and the men were set to lose $1 million. They were not only pulling in more revenue at a higher level than the men's team, but they at that time had won 3 World Cups and had won gold at the Olympics 4 times. The men's team, however, had never won gold in the Olympics and had never won the World Cup. The U.S. women's hockey team staged a boycott over stalled contract negotiations with their governing body, USA Hockey, in 2017, where they were set to defend their World Championship title on home ice in Michigan. Their boycott, which lasted 2 weeks, up to 4 days before their tournament began, before a breakthrough happened. It was staged due to inequalities in their travel accommodations, insurance coverage, lack of marketing resources allocated to their teams, and the lack of efforts by USA Hockey to grow the game at the grassroots level. The two parties reached a deal 4 days before the 2017 Women's World Championships with the announcement of a 4-year paid contract and a Women's High Performance Advisory Committee, equal travel accommodations and insurance coverage, along with the promises of more marketing and efforts to grow the game, along with a paid salary, which was a first for the program. But 19 months later, an ESPN article by Greg Wyshynski revealed that the NHL was paying $25,000 or over half of each player's salary, and the U.S. Olympic Committee was paying $14,000 to $21,000 of that salary. Even the players were unaware that the NHL was contributing significantly to their salary. Not only did they hide the details of where the money was coming from for their salaries, they also turned down multiple media opportunities on behalf of the team without letting them know before the 2018 Olympic year. They turned down the offer of creating a TV documentary about the team's journey to the Olympics, and they also did not tell them that they were eligible for a 3-figure bonus from Hershey's for winning a gold medal in 2018. For the questions, I'll leave you with the full quote from this 1973 edition of Sports Illustrated that we opened with. Quote, "There may be worse, more socially serious forms of prejudice in the United States, but there is no sharper example of discrimination today than that which operates against girls who take part in competitive sport. Wish to take part, or would wish, if society did not scorn such endeavors. No matter what her age, education, race, talent, residence, or riches, the female's right to play is severely restricted. The funds, facilities, coaching, rewards, and honors allotted to women are grossly inferior to those granted to men. And while now our right to play may not be restricted anymore, all of our facilities, coaching, rewards, and honors are still a lot less." So now I have 3 questions. Do you think that girls should be allowed to play contact sports like hockey and lacrosse on a boys team, or should they be forced to play on all girls teams?
I would like to see an integrated team because I think it would probably be a lot more interesting, and we actually get to see the best players, not just the best male players and not just the best female players, but the best players.
So like narrowing it down, I was thinking, I think Brenden was thinking too, like youth hockey, like there are coaches that think that girls should be forced to play girls hockey and not allowed to play boys hockey.
I would say, like, to a point, yeah, they should be, it should be co-ed, but once you get to a certain age, when the chemistry of the males and females change, I think it should be 2 separate sports, but I think the rules should be the exact same. I don't think there should be like women should be able to hit, fight, and stuff like that.
And that was one of the big things. Why change your sport and the rules and everything just for the women? Why not keep it the same and have them play physical play like they would when they play us?
Yeah, because women are just as feisty as men.
They can be. They can be more.
I think if you combine like men and women like on the same team, you'd have to change everything because like with the locker room stuff and like that. That's a big thing.
So even like if you did an integrated team, like it's no like secret, like if a girl hit a guy, it wouldn't hurt that much, but if a guy hit a girl, it would hurt a lot more.
Yeah.
So like, I feel like if it was intramural, like you'd have to like make probably go back to like what the female rules are now, like you just can't hit.
Yeah.
But if you're on the two separate teams, there shouldn't be a problem with girls that are the same strength checking each other into a wall rather than guys who are the same strength checking each other.
And I think that's one of the reasons why, like, because obviously men hit really, really hard. I mean, it should. I don't think it should be separate. I think it should be the same. But people are discriminating more because they think that it's right. I don't agree with.
So as someone who plays soccer, there are a lot of opportunities for co-ed, especially as you get older as well. Like there's local places where you can play co-ed and there's very few issues because the people realize the level and stuff. So I don't think it's that big an issue. I think you can have opportunities for anywhere. I'm sure in sports it needs to be different just because that's an elite level, but the lower levels there should be no difference. Like I used to play against girls up as low as like 12 or 13 just because if they were good enough, why not? It doesn't matter at that point.
Yeah, so like in hockey, girls and boys, the rules are the same in color version. So last question. Oh no, second question. Do you think it was right for USA Hockey to hide the fact that the NHL was paying over half of their salaries for the women? Like, do you think it was right for them to hide the fact that they hide where the money was coming from after like they boycotted and fought for it so hard?
I feel like no matter what, like if you're doing something, you're getting paid for it, you should know where your money's coming from.
Yeah.
Like it's just immoral not to tell someone where your money's coming from.
And it made them look a lot better if everyone thought the money was coming from them.
And the final one: should coaches of female athletes be discouraging them for being physical, gritty, or aggressive?
No.
Sport. Yeah.
Like I just said earlier, women are feisty and sometimes you just gotta show it.
Thank you.